Fani Willis is now plotting to schedule the Trump trial to be in trial while people are voting in November. During the November 2024 elections, we're going to have weeks of trial before, we'll have trial during, and if Fani gets her way, we'll have trial after all people vote. And so we're going to talk about what's going on here because two things came out from Big Fani Willis. One, a motion. She submitted this in Fulton County asking August 5th trial date, which of course is several months before the November elections. And if the trial starts then in August, can we get it done before people go and vote in November? Well, no, because Fani says that this trial is going to last several months and carry us well into November of 2025. And so this came over from a sit down that Fani had with the Washington Post. Fani for DA. They posted this back on November 14th, so it's recent, saying that on election interference, Fani said, I think the case will be on appeals for years, which by the way is by design. They don't even care about this case winning it, in my opinion, right now. They care about dragging Trump down, putting an albatross around his neck, and then losing on appeal later when it doesn't matter. She says, but I believe in that case there will be a trial. I believe the trial will take many months. Many months from August? I don't expect that we'll conclude until the winter or the very early part 2025, well after the election is over. Isn't that nice? Isn't that convenient? Here's what it sounds like coming out of Big Fani's mouth.
This is something I'm hoping you are willing to talk about a little bit. When do you think this election interference case will come to a conclusion? And let me add a little bit of detail before you answer. You have said March in the past, and there are a couple of other cases out there that make that less feasible to my mind. I don't know anything, but that's just what it seems like. It can't be March. Can you give us any clue when this would wrap up?
I mean, I think a case will be on appeals for years.
Okay.
But I think that in terms of, I believe in that case there will be a trial. I believe the trial will take many months. And I don't expect that we will conclude until the winter or the very early part of 2025.
Okay, and that I think is by design, right? They want that to happen so that they can have months. Can you imagine all of August, all of September, all of October, all of November, Trump trial, RICO case, election interference, the whole thing, right? And this is kind of nuts because we know that the DOJ, when we were getting really close to the 2020 election, they were saying we couldn't make any sudden moves against Joe Biden because there were whistleblowers who have now blown the whistle, but they were there working for the government at the time saying that there were big problems. They were going to go investigate Hunty's storage units and they were going to make a day of action and go move on him. And they got stopped. Now, this is not the DOJ, okay? This is Fani. This is a state level case. So she doesn't have to comply with those same best practices. And so she can ask for a trial to start in August, just months before November starts, knowing that the trial is going to bleed into the election. And that, of course, is by design. So let's take a look at the motion. She also submitted this. She's asking for the trial to be held on August 5th, 2024 to start. Here's what it looks like. Filed November 17th, state of Georgia versus Trump and everybody else. Now you'll notice this list is getting a little bit thinner. So some people have fallen off the list. Okay, Sidney Powell, Scott Hall's not on here. We also see Jenna Ellis is not on here and Kenneth Chesebro, they all dropped off. So we got Giuliani, Eastman, Meadows, Clark are left, Misty Hayes we saw is left, and Prescott, Harrison Floyd, who has actually a bond hearing coming up, which we'll be covering soon. Now, this is what Fani is submitting, and let's see if she signed off on this one. She did. Blue ink, Fani Willis submitted this one into the court. Says, comes now, the state of Georgia, by and through Fulton County, Fani moves this court to schedule the trial for all of the remaining defendants for August 5th, 2024. That's pretty big. Now, the state requests this court schedule Trump and everybody else for a final plea hearing date Friday, June 21st, and begin trial on Monday, August 5th. So if you don't take the plea soon, okay, you're going to trial. Like, pleas are going to be withdrawn and we'll go to trial. Now, a big part of me, my friends, some of this is speculation. I think we've got a lot of hints at this, though. I think Fani's bluffing. I do. I think she has a very weak case. She knows it. That's why everybody else got smoking plea deals. Some people still disagree with me on that these were not actual guilty plea convictions, right? They're not actually entered. They're just held in abeyance. The judgment of guilt has not even been entered. All of it has been set aside. I think Fani's cases are very weak, which is why she's panicked that the plea proffers came out and all the things. And I think that she might want this trial to not happen in August, by the way. Like, she may be okay if the judge, tactically, she wants it to start, but she also knows that she's, I think, got a weak case. Like, when she goes home and lays her head to bed at night, if the judge continued this case out, I think she might rest a little easy on it, because after the election, then she can come up with some other justification for this. Okay, she can say that, and I think the same thing is going going to happen with Alvin Bragg, that these cases can take the back seat to the J6 case, which is really, really what they want. So if they get a conviction in March, then they can sort of let up the gas on these other cases. Now, we'll see. They've got contingency plans is the point. Ideally, they get him convicted on all of them, but we'll see if that happens. Now, this proposed trial date, this is Fani writing, it balances potential delays from Trump and other criminal trials in sister sovereigns. So we've got Florida, which is scheduled for May, as we see. We've got DC, which is scheduled for March. So just think about this. So let's say March, April, maybe this bleeds into May. So we got 2 months on that. So maybe 6 weeks. I think they said in Florida that this trial would be 2 weeks, which seems very low to me. Seems extremely minimal, like 2 weeks sounds short. So then you would have 3 criminal trials in 1 year, August 5th. And I still doubt that this trial goes, by the way. I think that the May trial probably gets bumped in Florida too, because of SEPA stuff. So that'll get bumped until after November. We'll see what the judge does on this one. If Judge McAfee schedules it for August, I mean, I think that's going to be incredible. But therefore, they say it's unlikely to be subject to delay. August 5th is perfect because the other trials will be going. Now, if Cannon moves hers, then Cannon may say, well, I can't move it to August, so I can't put it in September because that's too close to the election. And so maybe she bumps hers all the way into end of November, right? End of November, theoretically, or even December. But she could just put it the week after elections, like literally the week after the election or something, by, you know, saying, no, I'm not worried about the election, but that's the appropriate date, and we'll get started there, and then probably postpone it again. So additionally, setting to trial on August 5th, says Fani, would begin trial within 1 year, which is the date of the indictment in a monster case with 19 co-defendants, and would show deference to each defendant and their constitutional speedy trial rights. The August 5th trial date would balance these two scheduling concerns. They say, in accordance with this court's standing order, the state also requests that a final plea date be scheduled on June 25th. The state will entertain negotiated plea deals up until the final plea date. After the final plea date, the defense will only have the option of non-negotiated pleas, and the state intends to recommend maximum sentences at any remaining sentencing hearings. Ooh. So that's going to be curious. So then non-negotiated means you can just go plead to the court. Like you can just plead guilty, but you're not getting a benefit from us. And when you go and plead to the court in lieu of trial, we're asking for the max, which will be wild because the maximums, like the discrepancy between the maximum and what they got. For example, okay, Kenneth Chesebro, Sidney Powell, Jenna Ellis, and Scott Hall, 0 jail time, not 1 day. And they all will have 0 criminal convictions, not a single one, if they can comply with the terms of the diversion deal. It's literally like driving school, okay? They all got driving school. Take the class, charges go away. And they all got charged with felonies. So for example, if one person does not, take the plea and they get convicted, everyone else is going to have diversion and dismissal deals, and one person will go away for 20 years. And that's justice in Fani's court because she overcharged everybody, right? You see how that works, which is unethical. So here, moreover, they say the state requests this court to not consider any severance issues until the final plea date. In the current procedural posture, and she's trying to push people to take pleas, obviously, because she doesn't want this case to go to trial, the law favors keeping the remaining defendants together for trial. If we separate them, it would impair both the efficiency and the fairness of the criminal justice system to require in all these cases of joint crimes where incriminating statements exist. It would be a lot for us to bring separate proceedings, present the same evidence again and again, require the victims to repeat the inconvenience and the trauma of testifying, and randomly favoring the last tried defendant who has the advantage of knowing the prosecution's case beforehand. So let us all go together. Now, the RICO conspiracy charge ensures that any trial would share the same evidence and witnesses. In fact, the case where the same witnesses, the same evidence, and the same charges would be used against all the defendants. So we can do it all together. There's overlap enough. So judicial economy in the use of physical facilities and the time of the witnesses and the jurors and the court personnel and everybody involved, the trial court must consider these efficiencies against the possible conflicting interests of the joint or multiple defendants. So if they want to sever their cases out, they're saying no. Additionally, there have been guilty pleas from 4 defendants already, and more defendants could choose to enter guilty pleas in the future. And I think that they probably will. Waiting to rule until after the final plea date would place this court in an optimal position to adjudicate any severance claims, including, right, so they want them to be very highly pressured into pleading before they can earn a possible advantage by severing the case. Don't let them sever it until we know what they're doing. Saying that it would confuse the law if we let them sever early, because then they can jockey who goes first and next, and then we got to present our evidence multiple multiple times. So if they know they're going to trial, like for sure, and they're not taking a plea, then let them consider the severance. Finally, the state has experience and resources, Your Honor. We can try multiple defendants together. For example, we tried 12 people together simultaneously and effectively, in this case in Atlanta Public Schools. The Court of Appeals found that the trial court did not abuse its discretion when it denied a severance motion. Evans complained about the length of the trial, the number of the defendants, the evidentiary dispute with co-defendants. They said it does not rise to a denial of due process. So this Evans guy was probably just like one person. Well, I don't know what the story was there. Let's see. Additionally, the state still possesses the physical and technological equipment, including tables, chairs, and monitors from the APS trial, the Atlanta Public Schools trial, which are available for the upcoming trial. Like, we already got the camera set up. The state clearly retains the logistical and the prosecutorial capabilities to try all of the remaining defendants together. Trump and everybody together. Trial for the remaining defendants should be set for August 5th, as that date balances the potential delays from other pending criminal trials. And further, no severance motions. Don't let them try to get an advantage and sever their cases out until after the final plea hearing date. Once we know that they're rejecting our pleas and going to trial, then the court will be best ready to adjudicate the severance claims. And saying we should schedule this stuff now, Friday, June 21st for the final plea hearing date in 2024, trial scheduled to start in August. And as Fani has already said, the trial should last for many, many months into 2025, which is exactly what they want. So if they can keep Trump bogged down in trial, if they can have every single news story every day talk about Trump being prosecuted, Trump charged with felonies, Trump RICO, Trump election, well, they think it's going to help them win, I think. And then Americans are going to listen to this and believe that what they're doing is actual justice. I think that they have bitten off way more than they can chew. I think the polls are showing it too. And so that makes me nervous. What happens when you get people cornered? You know, sometimes they escalate things, and maybe they will. Maybe we'll see more from them. But as it stands right now, Fani and the plot is to create a trial that will cover and bleed into the election, so that when your people are voting, when they're filling out their mail-in ballots, when they're showing up at the polls with their paper ballots, the news is telling us Trump is in trial, Trump is being prosecuted. We'll be here to continue to cover it, my friends. And thank you for inviting somebody to come over to our channel to check out what we're doing here. There's a lot going on in these cases that the media is just not covering, and we're trying to bring all of it to light, but it only really works if people can see it. So thanks for sharing it. Thanks for bringing people over here to join us when we go live at this time every day, and we'll look forward to seeing you on the next one.